Hi, everyone. So I first want to shout out a thank you to my colleague Collier, because we're known for our stuff not showing up at this event year after year for our tables, right? So everything showed up here except Collier's luggage. So thank you for the sacrifice of allowing us to showcase our stuff here today. So welcome everyone. So we're excited to talk to you about increasing ROI on your educational events. And it's going to come back to something that Kevin actually mentioned this morning, is about collaboration. So creating that strong content strategy, being able to collaborate to get there, to produce and attract attendees for your event. So my name is Jen Martin. I am a product marketing manager at Community Brands. I work with our event technology products, so including Attendee Interactive, Expo Logic, and Trip Builder Media. And so actually my background is in IT and marketing, but I actually came from an association. So I was your membership client from Community Brands for a state-based association. So I know what it is working with a small staff. So we were a staff of 8. So I've done the implementations of our AMS, our LMS, as well as our event platforms as well. So excited to talk today with one of our amazing clients, it's long-term clients, Erica from ASNR.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Cruz. I'm the Director of Education for the American Society of Neuroradiology. I've been with ASNR for about 4.5 years, and we're like 20 miles southeast of here, so nice and local, like a lot of you. ASNR, do you want to go to the next slide? ASNR is a very small society. We only have 6,000 members who are neuroradiologists, and we're also a very, very small staff of only 14 people. When I joined ASNR in 2019, we had just gone through, like, our CEO had changed and all of the staff had changed. So we were pretty much all new except for one person. So it's been, at first, it was a learning curve, but a huge benefit that I had when I first started was that AI had been in place for quite a few years. So I think since 2009 or 2010, I think we've been a client of AI. So they preceded me by a decade. So I'm the new one here. They've been here for a while.
Thanks. So AI, not to be confused, so Attendee Interactive. So I know that gets confusing sometimes, but tell us, you have a large annual event. So we're going to talk a little bit about that huge event and kind of how Attendee Interactive has helped them through that planning process.
One thing I'll say is, even though we have a small staff and a small-ish membership, they are really, really involved, very active researchers. And every year we have a 5-day conference. This year we'll be in Vegas in May. And usually we're around 80 sessions, 250 oral presentations, 600 e-posters, 1,000 plus abstract submissions, and usually somewhere in the range of like 500 to 600 speakers and moderators once you dedupe everything. We actually just closed abstract submission this morning. I'm tired. So at 5:30, I'm checking our submission numbers, celebrating, so I've been kind of tag teaming with the staff. Our department is 2 people. So we manage a lot of speakers, a lot of moderators, a lot of abstracts, but we have the tool that really allows us to do this. And honestly, I was a staff of 1 until a year ago. So that was fun. I love calling my news.
So let's talk about some of the challenges that you face, especially being a small staff organization. And it really comes down to having those efficient and consistent processes in place. 1,000 abstracts, that's a lot. That's a lot to sort through.
Just a bit. I always joke that one of my love languages is Excel. So, as you all know, one of the easier, more old school ways is Excel. And we'll get to reporting and how that turns into Excel eventually. But, so some of this predates me. So it's a little bit before me, and then some of it is after I arrived at ASNR. But, back in the day before AI, they were taking abstracts by fax. They were taking disclosures on paper. some of us are having a moment. But you know, they were doing everything very old school, and every piece was coming in separately. Every copyright is a separate form. Every disclosure is a form. I think we all remember those days. Chasing down the people and keeping the lists and checking the boxes and having to manually, you know, follow up and track it. But I don't do any of that now. And neither does my department partner. Now we just do everything through AI, managing our speakers, managing our forms, every submission, every session, every abstract, everything goes through AI. It allows us to just keep everything organized, check for duplicates, check for double scheduling. It is the only way, you know, we're able to keep track of such a big schedule with such a small staff.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, having those manual processes in place or different systems, different online firms trying to organize that information. So I know at the association, I mean, how many are used to, you have speakers, one day they send you their bio, and then next week they send you their presentation, and oh, here's another email, I forgot to include my headshot. So you're grabbing all of these pieces, and that's time consuming. So I know that can get quite frustrating when you're dealing with those kind of processes. So we talked about how having, you know, no education department yet. You also have a program committee that you worked with as well.
Yes. So I was actually the first director of education at ASNR. Before me, it was all handled by the meetings department, and they were outsourcing all of our CME management to a consultant. So we brought that all, you know, in-house. And a lot of the work was done by our program committee. But, you know, a lot of you are working in medical societies or not medical. You know, these professionals are busy. This is volunteer for them. And we were putting a lot of pressure on them. So this has allowed us to take a little bit of the burden off, with them following up on their faculty, and you know, it trickles down, as they say.
Yeah, and something we're talking about this morning here is that collaboration piece, because you really want to build a strong conference schedule. I mean, it comes down to that content that you're putting in there. So, and also balancing it out. So everything from the different speakers, the topics, demographics. So I know you guys have a really good process in place to kind of make sure everything kind of evens out for your agendas.
There's a lot of stakeholders in play. We have specialty societies that love to battle over the parts of the body, head and neck versus spine versus peds versus functional. They love to fight over time on the program. And then we want to make sure we're getting, you know, older, younger, experienced fellows, men and women of all nationalities and all varieties. So AI has allowed us to kind of run those reports, check our percentages, and make sure that the groups are being treated fairly or equitably, hopefully.
So what is Attendee Interactive? So we have a platform called AI Evolution. So it has 4 different software modules that work together. Basically, that information can flow through the system and really help you collaborate. So everything from the abstract review, submission and review process, to session and speaker management. So that's taking all of those approved sessions and abstracts and putting them into your conference agenda and plugging that in, avoiding conflicts. And also, if you're managing continuing education, that's also a big piece for many associations as well, to manage that all within the system as well. And event management, some of the logistics and that session room management, from catering to the AV, and being able to collaborate with your vendors as well. So working with ASNR, focused kind of more on the abstract submission and review process, and then the session and speaker management. So I know we were talking about how you just closed out your call for abstracts just this morning. So going into that, so they look to Attendee Interactive kind of really help simplify that process. How can we collaborate better between not just our staff, but our program committee, so that we can build a great conference agenda? So really looking at streamlining that process. You can take those submissions and assign them out to your reviewers. So whether you have a program committee, an education or scientific committee, and being able to really put that all in one place in one process. And it takes the heavy lifting off of the staff to try to organize all of that information.
You can see a couple of the screenshots of our site here, and they make me so happy to see because these things all do make my life so much easier. We closed this morning, and today we're using things like, who's still in draft, who's remaining issues. We do allow a little bit of a grace period, and so AI makes it really easy for us to be pretty dynamic with that. Volunteers can be a little bit fickle sometimes, and so the idea of no extensions being a very strict rule suddenly turns into a little grace period over the weekend. And so we're able to be dynamic and kind of accommodate them. We work for them. And so to be able to kind of be dynamic in that, we use submission, we use review. The transition is always difficult, but this is very easy with the way we go from submission, assigning reviewers into the review process, letting in the planners to set them into sessions, and then getting the speakers in there. So it's like one massive team, like a little army working out there.
Yeah, and one of the other things too, I mean, when you talk about the abstract submission process, you can also see whose are incomplete. So you can run a report and say, okay, who hasn't completed their submission yet? Looks like they started it. So you can follow up with them. So run reports and actually reach out to them by email. So you can build templates, everything to be able to reach out and say, hey, we see that you have an unfinished submission, is just letting them know about the deadline and just being able to collaborate with them as well. So again, it really helps the staff just be able to pick apart those pieces to work on that conference schedule. You want to get the content, from being able to balance it between the different topics and tracks and speakers, and having one place to do all of that.
Sorry, I had a moment where I was getting lost. I was thinking we have so many different kinds, we have 4 different kinds of abstracts, and then there's, 20 different kinds of sessions. And this just allows us to sort. The search tools, the reporting tools in the system make my life so much easier when I need to follow up on any number of people. This morning, what we're running is a report that shows which steps are even still incomplete in the submission system. And so we're going to narrow down on the people who maybe only just forgot one little thing, and give them that option.
So what are the results, after implementing Attendee Interactive? So it's one place for all of that data. Since it flows through the system, you're not picking apart emails from your speakers, from the submissions, whether they're online forms just on your website that you just have to manually download.
We use a universal disclosure form, like maybe a lot of you do, where the author fills it out once and it's applied to all the abstracts in the system. And so, at 11:30 last night, when our first past president is freaking out about her disclosure form, I was able to just say, it's okay, it's going to be applied to everything. Everything will be all set now. That's a huge benefit. And when they're submitting these things like bios, pictures, disclosures, copyrights, they're not sending me any documents, anything. They're putting it in the system, and then I'm tracking it through there, running a report and sending an email through the system to follow up.
Yeah, and I know we talked about that balance in being able to create your conference agenda. So that reduction of duplicate speakers, the real-time conflict that works in the system as well.
We have 5 concurrent sessions, and so being able to know that none of the abstract presenters will be in the same room or the same time block in 2 different rooms, abstracts, moderators, sessions.
Yep. So, and then I think too, you provide that consistency for your authors and your speakers year after year, so they're able to come back to that system year after year. It's a memorable process, so they're familiar with it.
They love the familiarity, yeah, especially when it's the high stakes of having an abstract accepted for work and it impacts your CV. Being familiar with the system, and all they have to overcome is maybe getting approval from their co-authors. Easy as that. But they love having that consistent system year after year.
Yep. So, and I know
but we're able to update it every year. I mean, we make a lot of changes every year, in just enough that our system our process stays fresh. And we add new types of sessions every year, but it still looks the same and it's consistent.
Right. And I know that you've also said a lot about how having Attendee Interactive is kind of like having an extension of your staff, or they're part of your staff.
Almost literally. When I first came to ASNR, I said, I was a staff of 1. I was the first education director. and it was a week before the annual meeting. So I was off to Boston. But AI, I have a client manager named Beth who is an angel, but I meet with her regularly, and she was able to give me some even institutional history about the style of our authors, the style of our presenters, how they are, and just the feeling of it. She has been like a right hand to me for a very long time. She would help anytime there's a problem. How do I do this? How do I do that? Can you set me up this report? Do you have any advice? How do your other clients do this? Between Beth and her supervisor and their support team, I felt like I had like a coworker and then a whole customer service team. I don't even know who that Tom guy is, but he's great. He answers so quickly. I just see his name on all the service emails. He's great. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
But yeah, Beth has been like a coworker to me for a very long time. I'm very grateful for her.
Yeah. So
never even seen her face, but she's great.
Yeah. So kind of wrapping up here, I mean, it really comes down to how can you collaborate better in producing a strong content strategy so that in the end, I mean, you want more attendees, right? You want more exhibitors and sponsors. You want to attract them. And especially in the medical space, I mean, you want to be a trusted source for education. I mean, that's your reputation. So, and that in the end, as a former membership director, that's also a very positive impact to membership recruitment as well. And being able to go to market faster with your event information. So you're spending less time trying to get all of that information together so that you can really go to market with it. So you can highlight those tracks and topics. You can highlight the speakers that are coming to your event, and being able to also make your sponsors and exhibitors happy because you have more opportunities to be able to highlight them as well. So just kind of wrapping up here, I know that we are standing between you and lunch, I think soon, but so just a little bit about AI evolution from Attendee Interactive, but it is part of, so you heard from Collier earlier, he talked about the community brands, all of our different items. So I'm part of the event technology group. So we have different connected solutions for the attendee experience. So we talked about Attendee Interactive today. We also have logistics, so everything from your on-site badge printing, lead retrieval, expo. So, and also the mobile apps, online registration. So talking about those engagement pieces as well. So thank you, Erica, for joining me this morning. I know it's a busy time.
Just a bit, but they'll wait. They'll be fine. One thing I will say is I was listening to like the implementation thing, just finished an LMS implementation about a month ago, but still very much in it. I've done 2 LMS implementations since we've been with AI. So they definitely have had sticking power for us. So hopefully that will continue. I'm very grateful for all of their help.
Yeah, so awesome. And feel free, we have a full case study with ASNR that you can view. I'm also LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me as well. We have a table up there, so we have some fortune cookies, so you can see your fortune on your upcoming conference planning. So stop by and—
Are they all conference related fortune?
They are.
Nice.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere. There's a couple questions. Any questions from here? Okay. When you guys switched from the paper to the Attendee Interactive system, how did the volunteers adopt, and what kind of like training and support was available for those volunteers?
So, in all transparency, I wasn't with ASNR when they made the transition. However, I know that we've made a lot of other changes since I've been with ASNR. First of all, we used to use, we were using disclosure paper forms, and they were sent by email attachment when I first started. So those were virtual, but still paper in a way. And I don't think I ever heard a single complaint. I think being able to do it once and send it and not have to track it, people love that. An easy online form like our ASSH case study with their fellowship application, it's always, they just prefer that. And we made it very easy where all of their disclosure, everything they have to agree to as a speaker in all the different instances is all on one form. So you've got disclosure, yes or no, logic pops up, and then copyright, all of your copyright forms that you would fill out as a speaker or moderator. So any way to make life easier for a doctor is always a benefit for them. They do enough paperwork, as the coding folks can tell you.
Yeah, I can only imagine when I was with the association, we had an education committee, and I mean, that was for the review process. It was everything from emailing things to putting everything in Dropbox that they had to kind of go in and start sorting and looking at all of the information. So having one place to log in and be able to review things assigned to you and go and complete those steps is where Attendee Interactive kind of helps consolidate that kind of process.
The transitions between phases, from submission to review to program setting to your AV on site, we've been able to use the tool to kind of make those transitions easier throughout.
Great. Another question is, are the interfaces for the volunteers, is that mobile friendly for them?
Yes. I'm not a very tech person. I'm not the lingo or mobile first. I kind of know what that means. But yes, it is all very mobile friendly. Do you have more specifics? All I know is as a user, I used it on my cell phone at 5:30 this morning when I was checking my abstract numbers, and it worked great. But yeah, mostly for the scientific work, they won't input it. The abstract submitters won't input it on their phones, but maybe a disclosure form will. It's very adaptable. And then I know our reviewers do a lot of reviewing on their phones and tablets. Yep. So they've had a lot of luck with that.
Yeah, so just being able to use that, because you have all kinds of different users, so there's different role types. So from seeing the front end of the system that your reviewers and the submitters and everything would use versus the admin side that the staff would use as well.
Mm-hmm. And the admin side that our program committee sees is even a little bit different too. There's like 4 different layers, I think, of security.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.